Hello guys, and welcome to another replay analysis with me and Sapien Gaming versing the patch Protoss. This is a Masters level Zerg versus Protoss. Pretty much 4.5k MMR. I got you, Sapien, don't worry. Give you that little bit of a boost right there. Sorry, people on YouTube and stuff are probably like, what the fuck I'm talking about? It's stream exclusive information right there. Anyways, if this is your first time joining us for a replay analysis, the way these work is we talk about one of the most difficult games in the world, StarCraft 2, and I, a former pro gamer WCS champion, guy who probably knows what he's talking about, talks about our subject for the day, which again today is Sapien, and we help him improve his gameplay. We help him improve his gameplay and try to advance through the ranks of StarCraft, making him as good as he can be. And that's basically it. Now, Patch Protoss is running around the base of Sapien, and we have a nice gas opener for Sapien. Hatch and gas pool. It's fine. The gas, I would say the gas first before the pool is it's going to give you the ability to have really fast speedlings. Yep, it's going to give you the ability to have really fast speedlings, which will give you really good defensive measures and also really good control of the map with speedlings. Very standard though, nothing crazy is going on yet. Oh, that one drone on that patch, I hate it. You got 3 on the middle one. Moving on. I won't harp on you for that, but it is the deal. We have a third base getting ready to be set up. This probe is having a seizure. It's freaking out. So we still have 3 on the gas. This could be because he's busy dealing with the probe, trying to get the hatchery down. It also could be because he might actually want to go beyond it. I would imagine, though, he doesn't because he also didn't start speed yet. But another reason why he might not start speed yet is because he wants to save the minerals to get the hatchery. This is the exact reason. I'm just going to throw this out there. If this probe blocks this third base, which is very possibly going to happen, this would not happen if it was a pool. Like, let's just say it was a 16 hatch, 18 pool, 18 gas. Okay? Let's just say that. Let's just say it was that. Guaranteed this hatchery goes down. We'll see what happens. And this is now annoying for Zerg. This is just a delay. Like, the lings are here, which is nice. I think it's going to get rid of it quickly, so it's not that much of a delay. But a delay is still a delay. That was probably 10 seconds behind now.
Queen birth successful.
Okay, we have 184 gas in the bank. This is not optimal at all. There is no tech on the way for like an all-in. There's no Bane Nest, there's no Roach Warren, there's no form of an all-in happening. And there's almost 200 gas in the bank, which is not ideal. We now have Zergling speed started, and we also have simultaneously Overlord speed started. I don't like. I don't like. If you don't mind getting a delayed Zergling speed, if you don't mind getting a delayed Zergling speed, which is definitely what's happened in this game, you might have forgotten about it, but if you don't mind getting a delayed Zergling speed, I highly recommend you just alter your build a little bit in the beginning and you go pool before gas. Literally the entire reason why you would ever go gas before pool is because you want to have speedlings active on the map. It's the only reason. If you're going, like, you're not really gonna suddenly defend something. Yeah. I'll just move on. I don't like it. I do not like it. It's not terrible, but it's not optimal with how this has gone so far. And the only reason why I'm moving on is because I've told you these things like 100 times, and I think you're just kind of like, you know, in previous ones, and I think you just like to go gas before pool and do this kind of stuff, which is totally fine.
Swarm has evolved.
If that's what your preference is. But I just don't think it makes sense if you're going to be defensive.
Under attack.
It literally doesn't serve any purpose then. Alright, so you spotted a Oracle. So now you know it's an Oracle. So like immediately you should have spores being started. The fact that they're not being started yet is risky. I would say the best thing you could do to stop this from being a problem, because of how you just saw the Oracle go like this. It flew that way, right? The Oracle flew this way. The best thing you could do is don't worry about your third. I would say stack your natural with 2 queens, like right here. Because this queen will finish shortly after the Oracle arrives, most likely. And this queen could be back here right now. And this queen could be here just in case the Oracle decides to dip south and go into your main. But there should already be 2 spores started. Like, you should start them the second you spotted that Oracle. Like, we're gonna look at this. The second you saw it to when you make it. So you see an Oracle right now at 344. This is impossible that it's a hallucination because he opened up with Gateway, Nexus, Core, and he's already made a Stalker and also a Adept. And also, even if he went Sentry first, I guess he could probably get a hallucination by the time your Overlord got here like this, if he went Sentry first. But if he went Sentry first, this would not exist. Like, he has literally made 2 units out of this gate, and this is not a hallucination, is just my point I'm trying to make here. It's definitely not. So, respecting this and making spores immediately, if you made them right now, your spores would finish probably like 3 to 4 seconds or something, just a few seconds after the Oracle got there. And if you did the thing I talked about where like you put a queen in the right area and like have a 1 or 2 queens in the right area, you could zone that Oracle long enough to get a spore up. But we're gonna look at it. At 344 is when you spotted the Oracle. We'll see how long it takes for spores to start. If you start spores after the Oracle arrives at your base, you are going to take some possibly serious drone losses. Okay, you're starting a spore at 354. You're starting a spore 10 seconds after you saw it, and it was already flying to your base. And you've only got okay. There you go. There's your second one started.
Under attack.
If this Oracle literally goes right to your base, he should be able to kill some drones. And your queens are also out of position.
Queen birth.
Your queen should have 100% been... That should have been priority. Because seeing that Oracle, you shouldn't be worried about a Adept or a Stalker at that point. You shouldn't be worried about any of that shit. And I know you might say to yourself, but I really wanted to scout his base. I wanted my Overlord to scout his base, dude. But here's all you had to do. Your Overlord spots... You're flying through his base with your Overlord. And you see the Oracle coming from here. It's literally flying in that direction, which means it tells you if you backtrack where the Oracle came from, it tells you where it spawned from. He's not going to fly. He's not going to build an Oracle here, fly to the top left of his base, and then come back around through your vision. You know what I mean? It means it just spawned out of that fucking Stargate up there. So your Overlord, you could have just went like this. Like, had your Overlord clicked, shift clicked up here on move command, shift clicked out here on move command, and then at the exact same time, moved your queen, made spore, made spore. You did your shit 10 seconds late. Because you were just literally following the Overlord. Like, you were, like, watch your camera. You were tracing the Overlord the whole time. When you see the Oracle, let's see the Oracle. You actually didn't see the Oracle. Okay, I'm just kidding. You didn't even see it. You started scouting through his base and you didn't even notice. Okay, I'm not going to get on your ass so hard about that now. But now I think there's a bit of a different problem here. And if we're really thinking about it, okay? We're opening up with Overlord speed.
Yeah.
And the whole point of the Overlord speed is to scout his base and see what's happening. And we missed what was happening. Which absolutely sucks, right? That's terrible. What were you... Well, I'm going to see exactly what you did when this Overlord got sent to his base. I wanted to see your movements. Okay, like, what I don't understand is this. We're gonna clean up your play a little bit, hopefully. At this point right here, you initiate a move command. I understand looking at it for a second, but as soon as you see that, like, you see the second gateway being built, you see you already know there's a natural, a gate, another gate, a core, a stalker. I don't understand. As soon as you scout this right away, why I don't understand why the camera is stuck here for a few seconds, like why you're staring in this direction. Because right now, like, that's perfect. You can look, like, now, right here, right now. You just spotted double gas. Immediately turn back to your base and do whatever macro thing you want to do. That would be perfect. You have no larva in your bank right now, which is really good. You're spinning your larva while you're doing this. You're not, like, just tunnel visioning. But right now, you don't need to look at your Overlord anymore. You stare at it for like a good 2 seconds longer. You could go back to your base really quick and do whatever you got to do. And what do we do? And then, you know, you can go back to Overlord quickly and do whatever you're, you know, scout again more, since you want to see what he's doing. There's a good chance your Overlord will die going into his base right now. Like, if his Stalker's killing your Overlord, obviously you have speed, it's going to live longer. But if there's something that is killing you, there's a chance if you don't look at your Overlord, you might actually be like, oh shit, I saw a warping in thing, but I don't know what it was. And that always sucks, right? But let's see what you do now. What is happening now? You're tabbing between your bases. Like this. There's like an Overlord move command going on. I don't know. Like this is fine normally. But right now there's a priority going on, right? And I don't know what this is for now. It's not that big of a deal, but it should not take priority in your actions right now. And then this right here too. Like you're sending your another Overlord up to the top of his base, which is whatever. Yeah, I honestly think you should have done that before you committed your first Overlord into his base, because you're not paying attention as to what you see anymore. And then the last thing is you go to your third base and you stare at it for a second. Or your natural. And now you're looking at your third and you're starting a queen, which is fine. But I think this is just taking you too long to do these things. So like right here, okay? Right now, you have the idea, right? You have the idea in a second here. You are literally about to, what's it called? Where's your rally point? Okay, you physically set this Overlord, right? So you have the idea, you're about to scout his base. Your Overlord speed is just about done. Imagine if this Overlord just went straight here right off the bat. You can rally the egg right here, and it's whatever. And then you can, later on, if you see like, oh shit, this is a bad idea, you can turn the Overlord around later. But for now, you could send it up there, and it's all easy breezy. And then the only thing you should be looking at your base for during the time you scout with what's currently happened, because nothing's really going on yet, is injecting your base. And you just injected your base with your main queen, so there's nothing really to worry about. I got some shit to tell you about the second queen too. Okay, here's another thing. But okay, we'll go back to the scouting thing in a second. I actually want to look at your first queen. You're going for, did you ever inject this hatchery at all? No. So you're opening up with a speed opener. You're making queen queen, you're taking your third, and you go inject larva. Or sorry, you go inject larva and a creep tumor, which is not the worst thing, considering he also went Nexus first. You're going for a safe opener. You're not going for a greedy opener. You're not going for a super safe build. You're going for a mid-range normal build. It's like, it's safe, but also at the same time you have an inject going on. I do not like, however, the second tumor with the first queen out of your natural, because you have no queen to replace this shit. And I don't understand why you're prioritizing a second tumor rather than an inject right now as well. The dude is, like, the only time that would make sense is if this dude was all-inning you. Because you're fucking your larva up so bad. You should only ever go prioritize tumors like this heavier and skip injects on your hatchery if there wasn't even a nexus here. I would agree with it then. I'd be like, alright, yeah, this guy's gonna be aggressive and you need some fucking, you need a creep tumor going this way to your third, maybe another one going this way, down outwards, or up the ramp or something. I would agree with it then. This is excessive though, and your hatchery is just missing out on so much fucking larva. I don't like that. Okay, we'll go back to your vision again. But again, all you should have done in the time that your overlord, like right now, your overlord goes into his base.
Evolution.
All you should have done in that time is go inject, 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 which only takes literally like 1 or 2 seconds, and then you're back on the overlord. This overlord's gonna look at his base. You can still make units out of your hatcheries while you're looking at your overlord, but sending your overlord into his base and then completely fucking disregarding it is not a good idea. I think you need to definitely,
Under attack.
if you're gonna be going for overlord speed, I feel like that is a style or a strategy of a player who is trying to rule out all possibilities and wants 100% information. They don't want to deduce things with minimal information. Like, I'm just gonna throw this out there, okay? Right now, this is just some information that you could know without fully scouting him. Check this out.
Swarm has evolved.
All right, right now, you can already rule out the fact that this is anything with high gateway count. 100%. And unless these gases were to be canceled. And the reason why you can rule out the fact that this is going to be a high gateway count build is because, number one, this dude has a lot of chrono boost energy on his nexus. A lot of times when you play against somebody who's going for a high gateway count build, they spin their chronos non-stop on probes and then on upgrade from Twilight Council because they're going to do some type of a fucking timing, and these chrono boosts accelerate that timing. So high chrono energy means this dude is kind of just fucking like, he's like doing a build that's just like, it's macro oriented more or less. Maybe he couldn't afford mass and probes because he's like, I need to throw down a tech building. And he's also spent the money to make extra gases. So this is even less likely that there's just a shitload of gateways. So already we can rule out the fact that it's going to be some type of a gateway all-in. Very, very unlikely that this is a gateway all-in. This second gateway right here is basically designed for him to not have speedlings run through his base. He wanted to make a wall, and he did not want to reveal what tech he was using. And having 2 gateways is very standard for Protoss, no matter what build they're doing. 2 gates is super standard. So I would assume right now this guy is either going for a Robo or a Stargate. But if you think about it in the sense that this guy is also rushing gas pretty fast. This is not when he's fully saturated on his natural. He's got 9 probes on this natural. This is half saturation essentially. It's +1. And he's already got gases started, which means if he wants to saturate these fucking gases the second they're done, even if he's still making probes the whole time, his mineral line is going to be like at 11 probes out of 16 when it's done. And if he saturates these gases, it's going to go back down to 5 out of 16, which is fucking terrible for mineral economy. So if I had to guess what this would be, I would guess it's something that's high gas expensive that also doesn't have high mineral cost, like a Stargate. A Stargate builds units for Protoss that cost the most gas in terms of, except for a High Templar, in terms of how much minerals it costs. An Immortal costs 200, 100. Or it's actually, they increased the cost of Immortal. It's like 275 or some shit, 100. 275, 100. 275 minerals, 100 gas. Oracle costs 150, 150. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we look at some guy who's going to prioritize his gas, 100% he's not going to have High Templar tech this fucking fast. And who the hell would go High Templar tech just right away? Especially if he's not going to have a lot of gates. High Templar tech only makes sense if you're going to go for heavy gateway. Because you'd be doing like an Archon charge lot timing, which needs a lot of gates to make it work. So realistically, we're looking at some dude who's very likely going for... It still could potentially be like some weird build of High Templars with... what's it called? A Templar tech with a Warp Prism. It could be that, but it also could be a Stargate. It's not going to be heavy gateway. It's not going to be some type of a large timing. It's going to be a harass-based timing because he's prioritizing the gas. The more gas your opponent takes, the more likely it's a harass. Like the faster, like if I'm Zerg and I go for fucking 4 gases right away, what do you think it's going to be? As my opponent, you're probably thinking, oh, he's going mutas. Because I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret right now. If you're going 4 gas fucking Nidus, you're gonna have a lot of gas. Unless you're going like Ravager Baneling or some shit with a Nidus Worm. It's excessive on the gas. Anyways, you can kind of deduce a little bit as to what's happening from his opener here right now. Anyways, we'll kind of skip past this point. I just want you to, if you're really going for the Overlord speed, I really want you to pay more attention to what you see. And we see this is a very standard build. He's going for what looks like a semi-safe opener because he has a Stargate. He can defend lots of random types of all-ins with this, like Ling Bane all-ins and shit. And he's also got a Robo. Now you missed the Oracle. And I'm going to just also throw this out there. It's very unlikely that your opponent is not going to make something. Like, here's another thing, okay? If this was like Silver League, I would agree with the whole making a building and not building anything out of it until the scouting is gone. But I just want to, I'm going to elaborate on what I mean, okay?
Swarm forces under attack.
So, your Overlord flies over here, and you scout a Stargate that is already done. Okay? Now, this Stargate that's already done, I want you to think about this too. This is another form of information that you should be able to think about and understand. I'm gonna break some numbers down here for you, okay? A Stargate's build time. It's like 40 seconds. It's 43 seconds. Okay? And Adept's build time is 30 seconds. A Stalker's build time is 30 seconds. And your Overlord was here watching the gateway the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
And you saw the core finish. You saw a chrono boosted gate. This is very standard. Yo, Burry and RI1977, thank you guys very much for the subs. Much love, guys. I very much appreciated. Love you. But you saw that, and you still see the gateway producing something. This is 30 seconds. Like, it's more like 15 seconds has gone by because he chrono boosted it. But now you have 30 seconds for the Stalker. Which means 45 seconds, from what you can tell very easily, has already gone by. Which is about the same time it takes to build a Stargate. Famous, thank you as well for the sub. Much love. Sorry guys, I'm doing an analysis. I'm trying to do it. But I appreciate the subs, guys. Famous, I love you, man. Thank you. But yeah, this is already 45 seconds that has gone by. Right? 45 seconds. And again, we know the build time. And if you don't know, now you do. It's 43 seconds. So there is, and also just to throw this out there, if a Protoss opens up double gas, they are more than able to afford a Stargate plus an Adept plus a Stalker. plus a cyber core. Like getting your tech as Protoss is very standard right after the core finishes within 10 seconds. It's very, very, very standard to play like that. It's not standard to be like, oh, my core is done. 1 minute later, I'm going to build a Stargate. So if you're thinking about it like, okay, well, he's already built an Adept. He's already built a Stalker. That's fucking a lot of time passed now that this guy could have had a Stargate. I was about to call him a motherfucker, but... And now, on top of that, there's nothing being built out of the gateway at all, which is even more time that's going by like a good 25 seconds until you move the Overlord. Or like even 30 seconds. 35 seconds? Okay, 35 seconds went by until you move the Overlord into his base for your Overlord speed to finish. And you see a Stargate that is not doing anything, and you also see a Robo that is currently under construction. A Robo and a Stargate have around the same build time, 46, 43. So that tells you that a Robo was built way later than the Stargate. You should already guarantee, even if you didn't even see a unit because you were looking at your base, just judging off build times, it would just make sense that he's already built something out of this because of how late this scout was. So even if you didn't see that Oracle, you should still 100% make those fucking spores right now. And this is honestly what I think the difference is between someone who gets Overlord speed and somebody who does not get Overlord speed. Because somebody who gets Overlord speed will only go, seeing is believing. If I see it, it's there. If I don't see it, I don't fucking believe it. I don't know. I have to see it to believe it. But if you just think about timing of how shit works in the game, and you start developing your mindset that way, where you can deduce this guy should have had a Stargate for a long time. It only makes fucking sense. Then you can go, okay, well, if he's only going to build one unit, just one unit, what's it going to be? Because his Stargate is now it's out of production. It's 100% not going to be one fucking Phoenix. Any Protoss who goes Phoenix is going to repeatedly make Phoenix because they're only going to get something done once they have about 4 at the minimum. And you don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to make one Phoenix and then like 2 minutes later or a minute later, I'm going to start making Phoenix again. You want to get in there as quick as you can so you can start making your Phoenix do a lot of damage. Because the later you wait, the closer Zerg gets to like Hydras or whatever, and it's going to do fucking nothing. So you would definitely see Phoenix being made if this was already a Phoenix being built here. If it's a Void Ray, that is a possibility. It could be a Void Ray, but if it was a Void Ray, a Spore is still it's like a just in case thing. You could still have the Spore because he still has a Stargate, and you don't know what he's gonna make after that Void Ray. But 100%, like 2 Queens can shut a Void Ray down, no problem, and you could also run a drone away from it, and you're not gonna take any fucking damage. And it also is making a Spore Crawlers in the Mineral Lines is about the same investment as him making a Void Ray. It's very minor. It's not gonna change it's not gonna like make or break your build. It's whatever. But if somebody has a Stargate for a long time and now it's only made one unit, the one unit that can get a lot of damage done on you is 100% an Oracle, and it only needs to be by itself because it 2-shots your drones nonstop. So even though you don't see a unit being built here, you should still have a perception of time of the game and go, ah, shit. Like, a lot of time has gone by since his core has been done, and he has a Stargate, so there's very likely a unit on the map. Because relying on, I'm just going to throw this out there, relying on Overlord's speed to scout your opponent is a delayed scout. As you can tell. Like, he not only had enough time to build a Stargate, but he also had enough time to build an Oracle and get that Oracle out of his base. Obviously, your Overlord ran by the Oracle as it was done, but you were scouting into his base as the Oracle was flying out of his base, which is very limited time to react to something anyways. So, like, this Overlord speed thing is, I understand you said you're doing what Lambo does. And I think this is, like, again, the common mistake that a lot of people make where they go, I'm just going to copy what a programmer does. And it's supposed to work, right? But there's a level of depth of knowledge between a pro, how they use their build, and someone else who's just copying it. And I guarantee you, Lambo is the kind of guy that knows how to read the build like I just did with, oh, the timing of the Stargate, the Stalker, the Adept, there's a lot of time that's gone by. The Robo and the Stargate have about the same build time, so you 100% know that this Stargate has been done for a while, especially if the Robo's not even done yet. This is the follow-up tech to what the Stargate is going to do. The reason why someone like Lambo would do something like this is 100% because he's like, you know what? I don't want to die to some stupid fucking 8-gate charge lot all in or some garbage build that is just like all these different types of all-ins Protosses can do. I want to have a good read on what you're going to throw at me. Because this Overlord speed timing, it would be in time to scout an all-in, but it would not be in time to scout a harass. If that makes sense. So you have to be very careful where you plant your queens if you delay your scout that long like that.
Newly birthed queen ready. Swarm.
And that's 6 drones that just died. And you almost got it with the second queen over here, but you still didn't kill it. But that's 6 drones that just died, and on top of that, now we have spores started, so that's 9 drones that are now effectively gone. That is fucking huge. You should have 3 drones gone no matter what, because you're going to make 3 spores. Spores are good. I'm not saying it's bad that you made them, but you made them while taking 6 drone losses. At this point, I'm not going to, like, it's still worth it to make them, but it's almost at the same time worth it to not even make them. Like, here's what I mean. He's going into Robotech. This Oracle is only designed to most likely harass your mineral line initially and scout what you're doing while harassing, scouting what you're doing at the same time, because his Oracle's in your base. And there's a good chance this Oracle is going to go back to his 3rd base right now and defend a 3rd that's going to go down in the next 20 seconds. Because that Oracle is now almost dead, and it will be great to defend. Like, if he's going to go into a Robo, this tells me he very most likely wants to go into Immortals with a 3rd base and probably go Charge Lot Archon Immortal. That's what I would read from that. That is the most common follow-up to what he's done. So these spores, although they're going to keep you safe from any type of a follow-up Oracle harass, is very likely not even going to be another one. I doubt he'll, like, he could, but there's a chance he won't, right? Because now the Oracle has a different purpose. If he wants to go for a 3rd, which I'm just going to go to everyone's vision in 5 minutes, and I bet we're going to see a 3rd base. Unless you scout it yourself. And there you go. Look, what I just said is 100% true. This time around when you scout his base, what do you see? You see a Twilight Council that's done now. You see a Templar Archives, which is for Archons, and also High Templar behind that if he wants to. And you see more gates now being started as well. This 100% is going to be Charge Lot Archon Immortal. So if this Overlord can make it down to his 3rd base, I bet you're going to see a 3rd base started around 5 minutes. There might be a probe already here.
Swarm forces.
Okay, your Overlord died. Now I bet he's going to send a probe down to his 3rd. And the Oracle is going to defend his 3rd. And there you go. The Oracle is now in position to defend his 3rd. So, like, this... Although, if we look at the worker count, you're tied, which is not good for Zerg, by the way. You don't want to be this close with economy with Protoss. It just sucks for you because this opener has ruined you, more or less. Like, it's hindered your build so much up to this point. The hardest, I will tell you right now, the hardest race to read at the current moment, is Protoss. Because you have to have a high level of understanding of what Protoss is capable of doing with what they have. And there are so many builds Protoss can do to you that will just fucking kill you. So I understand why you think Overlord speed is good. But yeah. I don't know. I hope I'm explaining it all very well, but yeah, Protoss is... I hope you just don't beat yourself up as well about it, because Protoss is hard as fuck to read. It just takes a lot of experience to be able to read Protoss. And yeah, you scouted the 3rd with your Zergling. I really like that I'm back on your vision, so you actually followed up to go, do you have a 3rd? Good shit. You really need to do that, and I like that you did that. That's awesome. Moving on. Moving forward. What are you doing with your build now? You are effectively behind right now, though. That is just a fact of the game. You are behind. You are now on a tied base count with Protoss, with a tied worker count with Protoss. This is not necessarily good for Zerg. And you're also going into mass Zergling. This is one thing I don't like. I do not like that you're going mass Lings, because you have realized he's going for Charge Lot Archon Immortal. And if this guy's going to go for a 3rd base, okay, If he's going to go for a third base, one thing that 100%, okay, it doesn't, not 100%, not everyone always does this, but it's very common. One thing a lot of Protosses like to do while they take a third base, if they want to go charge the Archon Immortal, is instead of making an Immortal first, make a Prism, like I know what you're about to know because we just saw the replay, but they like to make a Prism and they like to Archon harass you or Dark Templar harass you, but in this case, it's going to be Archon harass because he didn't open with the Dark Shrine, he opened with his Stargate. And Lings are fucking awful at defending Archon drops. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure every Zerg out there goes, I fucking hate fighting Archons with Zerglings. Especially when they're in a Warp Prism. It's so stupid. Because you're just going to lose all your Lings and he's just going to be like, drop lift, drop lift, drop lift. Yo, Sage, thank you for the 8-month sub, man. Welcome back. Much love, dude. Much love. And now it's in that power mode, right? Where you want to power up. We have a lot of larvae chilling. I think you're getting to that point to where you're unsure as to what you want to do. I'm just gonna throw it out there. If you had, judging off what I just saw, went to his base, 8 roaches, just 8 roaches, and you could defend the potential of this, even though you didn't know what's happening. There is still a potential of something he can do to you. The Spore Crawlers here defends the potential of an Oracle, and 8 roaches would defend the potential of Archon Harass. 100%. And you also have a couple of extra queens. I think because you made the Lings, I think this is acceptable. But if you made roaches, this would be too many queens. Because the queen's job now is to also hopefully tank some of the Archon damage while Zerglings deal damage. And also, you have more of an emphasis now to try to really kill that Prism. Because if the longer he stays on the ground, the more damage he's going to deal, because this army sucks at dealing with Archons. So I think the amount of queens you have right now and the fact that you're making more is okay because you made Lings, but I think this is a terrible idea to deal with the Prism, especially since you also have the Roach Warren done and you're getting Roach speed. So the Prism is gone. Prism is gone. And I just want to throw it out there. I know a lot of people will see what they just saw and go, ViBE. He just deflected that Warp Prism with those 4 queens. Are you sure it's bad? And this... look at the units tab. We have 6 roaches that were made. They're made. 6 roaches could also deal with it, but not as good. I would say 8 would be great. But my point is we have 16 Lings. This could be like, okay, I'll subtract 4. Okay, we'll say 12 because you had 4 Lings scouting the map. One of them died, and you have a few more Lings out here. This is awesome. Great, good shit. I love that. I love that you're scouting the map. So I won't say 16. I'll say 12. That could have been 6 drones on top of what he already had. Instead of having Lings just literally doing nothing sitting here, that could have been drones. Okay? And instead of having, which is now going to be 7 queens, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 queens in a second here. That could have been like 4 queens. And we could have had 2 queens here instead of 4. Hit the Prism. And there's no way those queens are going to die if the roaches are also here, because the roaches would shove it back. The Prism didn't die either way, right? And let's say instead of doing damage to the Prism to where it puts it down to 9 hit points, let's say we did enough damage to it to put it down to like 36 hit points. Or something like that. It's still not going to want to come back. It's going to be... now, when a Prism is really low like this, a good Protoss player will never be like, time to dive the base again. They'll always be like, time to harass your creep now. Because I can easily escape, because if I'm killing the edge of your creep constantly, because your queens can't chase me off creep. And he'll have an observer following the Prism to kill your creep. That's what good Protosses do. They don't just keep flying into your fucking natural and your main and stuff, expecting a red or a yellow Warp Prism to not die. So 2 to 4 queens would have done the job either way, is my point. And if we have less of a cost on the queens, there would be more resources now to use otherwise, like to power the larva. And if we look a second ago, let's just really quickly back up for a second. And let's look at the units tab. This is what's currently available, right? We do have a little bit of a supply block going on, which is, that sucks, but it's okay, whatever. It's a lot of larvae for a long time. That's still a lot of larvae. It's still a lot of larvae. You see what I mean? Like, if we have more minerals freed up, we can do things like, you know, we can make more shit in other places that's more useful. And it's that larva cap, or the larva surge that was just sitting there for so long that we just watched. And also things like the Oracle killing 6 drones earlier. Things like that put you in this position where you do not have control against Protoss, which is the exact reason why we have a Zerg player here who is actually down in supply against Protoss, even though you're going roaches. That is fucking not good for Zerg. You definitely do not want to be behind Protoss in supply, and now you have a Bane nest. This is looking like an all-in build. Like you're gonna go like speed roach, speed Bane, and just like bust him or something. Maybe you're gonna go Hydras eventually. And go Ling Bane Hydra. If you go Ling Bane Hydra, I think it's fine. But even then, though, if you go Ling Bane Hydra, I think you're these buildings are too early. Because you're making them before you're making them before you're optimally saturated, and you're not going to use them. I guarantee you're not going to use this Baneling net unless you go Roach Bane. If you go Roach Bane, sure. But if you go Ling Bane Hydra, this Baneling nest is way too early. You're not going to use the Banelings, I guaranteed, for like up until around 8 minutes. And you're also, if you go Ling Bane Hydra, I think going for double Evos is a mistake. I think you should just go 1 Evo chamber and just go pure melee upgrades. Okay, 2 Evo chambers is okay if you literally never want to transition. If you want to go Ling Bane Hydra the entire game, I would accept 2 Evo chambers then and get weapons on both. I hope to God you don't get Carapace. But if you want to go and do if you ever want to transition out of Ling Hydra Bane, if like you just want to do Ling Hydra Bane for a little while and you want to go into like, let's say like Broodlord or something like that, because this guy is going to be going Archon Charge on Immortal the entire time. If you go Spire at some point, 2 Evos is awful. It's just too much money. And it's things like this that are putting you so far behind in supply. And now look at that again. We have the same problem here again, right? Look at this larva. Watch the larva. I know an eject just popped off, but let's watch it, right? You have 3, 3, 5, 6, 5. You spent some of it. 6, 8, 9. Look at your money. Okay, you spent it. But that was like a good portion of time again, right? I think there needs to be more emphasis on really capitalizing on your larva faster. Especially because there's nothing going on. And I honestly think the reason why you didn't do it is because you scouted the map again. You were busy going, alright, fuck it, I'm gonna shift, move my shit around, I'm gonna patrol path shit. This, I'm just gonna throw this out there. This is things like this, Like, I like that you have the third scouted, okay? I think, again, just like I said earlier, I think that it's fucking awesome that you're scouting the third. Or the fourth, rather. This is the potential third, but he chose this one. So now this is the potential fourth base. A Ling here and a Ling here is all you need. And you're great. You should not be confused as to what composition you're fighting against because you physically scouted it earlier. You know exactly what he's doing, and he also revealed to you that he didn't cancel this because he revealed that he had Archons and a Prism. So that 100% confirms it, right? You should know that you're fighting against Charge of the Archon Immortal. And if you know that he does not have a fourth base, you should also know there is no transition happening. It's not like he's gonna fucking show up with 8 carriers and you're gonna be like, wait, what? 8 carriers? You have fucking Robo, Immortals, Zealots, and Archons, and now you have 8 carriers? I don't understand. No, it doesn't happen like that. That costs a lot of money. Like, you can't just tech switch like that out of fucking nowhere on a limited base count. So if you scout his potential fourth base, okay? Scouting just the potential fourth base is all you need to do. And in the meantime, instead of doing shit like this, where you have the Lings patrolling and stuff like that, I understand you're like, I want to see a Prism. Focus on your creep spread more and focus on Overlord spreading along the edges of the map. That would be way better. So every time you make an Overlord, you just go like this. Make an Overlord, put it there. Took 1 second. I make an Overlord again, put it there. Took 1 second. Make an Overlord again, put it there. 1 second. Make an Overlord again, put it there. 1 second. It literally takes like 1 second. It's like the process of making an Overlord, and then you can click the mini map. Like you can go like this. Like you can be like, all my hatcheries are selected, right? I can be like, select larva. I can make 1 Overlord, and I could literally right-click this spot. And then I could really quickly hit 4S Overlord again. So I could go like this. 4SV, right-click. 4SV, right-click. 4SV, right-click. 4SV, right-click. It takes 1 second. 4 reselects your hatcheries. It drops the fucking egg you're currently selecting. S only selects available larva, so you're not going to somehow select the egg you just made. And then you can right-click and with the Overlord you just made and put it in an open spot. 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 Every time you make an Overlord, just be like, over here, move it. You can either click your screen down here and click it this way, or you can have your camera here and literally click the mini-map and move it there. Either way, it seriously takes like 1 second. And then now you don't have to worry about things like having your Lings patrolling around because now you have vision of the side of the map. And then if you focus your attention on your creep and your injecting and your spending of that larva, your creep will reveal his push before he's killing your base. %. Like if we look at your larva, or not your larva, your creep as well. Like let's look at it for a second, right? Here's the tumor. It's chilling. Chilling. You got more creeping started here, but these creeps are still just chilling. These creeps are still being worked on. These creeps are still just chilling. This creep is chilling still too. Okay, you spread this tumor. I want to watch your camera for a second. I want to see how you do this. I think you're playing this game so hectic. From this game specifically.
Evolution complete.
Like, I think what you're doing, I think what I'm seeing you do, is I'm watching you have a bunch of tasks. And you're trying, it'd be like me juggling, right? I'd be like, multitask, scout, creep, larva inject, spin larva, don't supply block. And you're just like juggling. And you're just like, you're not fully committing to one task. You're like half committing to one and going, fuck it, do this one now. Okay, fuck it, do this one. No, fuck it, do that one, do this one, do this one. And you're doing like little bits of your tasks that you should be doing all the way through. And you're not committing to it enough. For instance, if you ever spread 1 creep tumor and you don't spread the rest, that is terrible. That's not good. And there's only one exception to doing that. And it's if you're currently in combat. That's the only exception. If you go like this, okay? If you're like this, okay? If you're like, I'm injecting my base, I'm making my larva, and you go, oh, there's a random tumor right there I see on my screen. Inject it, or spread it right there. and you go do something else, and you're going back to your natural to make an upgrade. You're sending a Zergling this way. That's fucking really bad. Because you're making your build so scattered, and it makes you forget shit all the time, and shit just feels overwhelming, and you're like, okay, things over here, there, it feels overwhelming as fuck. So if you do this, okay, if you do this, you make a rhythm out of it, right? You repeat the rhythm again and again and again. You go like this. All right, inject, inject, inject. I made all my I made all my larvae with my injects. My tumors at this point now are done because I just spent time injecting, and now I go creep, 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 as fast as you can. You do all of them, and in the meantime, if you do it fast enough to where you inject your hatcheries and you spread your creep fast enough, now you have a moment to spare where you go, okay, let's monitor my other things really fast. Let's send a Zergling at his base, or whatever I want to do. Or let's make an upgrade. Let's get baneling speed. Let's get fucking melee upgrade. Let's get my Hydroden. Let's make sure my mineral lines are looking really good. Make sure I'm spinning that effective larva with my droning and shit like that. You take a moment, okay? Literally like 10 seconds or less. And then you go right back to it. Inject, inject, inject. Creep, 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 creep. You do it all in phases. You don't go, because you don't, like, if I were to tell you inject your hatchery, you would not do this. Inject, creep tumor. Okay, creep tumor. Okay, inject this space. Okay, now middle creep tumor. Middle creep tumor. Another tumor. Okay, inject this space now. Okay, another creep tumor in my main. Okay, another creep tumor randomly out here. Okay, another tumor up on this side of the map. Okay, inject this space now one more time. Okay, creep tumor over here. Okay, now creep tumor here. Like, you're not gonna fucking mix it together, right? It's gonna get fucking super weird and sloppy. It's just gonna feel awkward because, like, I'm not expecting you to remember 20 tumors, different individual timers where it's like, okay, if there's tumors, if you go like this, okay, it's like tumor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You count 1 to 20 in like a semicircle like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm not gonna be like, spread tumor 14. Okay. Okay, tumor 3. Tumor 7. Tumor 20. Tumor 1. Tumor 8. Tumor 12. Tumor 5. Tumor 13. You're not gonna do it in this weird fucking order where you're like back and forth, you know what I mean? You're gonna do it like this. You're not gonna go like it just makes it fucking awkward when you do your tasks everywhere, scattered all the time. And that's kind of what I see you're doing to yourself. You're doing random tasks. You're like, Ling, go this way. We're injecting. We're doing 2 tumors on this side. We're also having queens come this way to throw out 3 extra tumors or 4 tumors. Okay, I'm leaving these over here. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna make an upgrade. It's scattered as fuck. It's focusing one full task at a time. One task at a time. One task at a time. One task at a time. And you just get faster and faster at it. And suddenly it's like you're just slamming these tasks out, and everything just flows so well. These patrol paths they're pointless. And the reason why, one more time, is this patrol path is pointless because you know that he's going for 100%. You know that he's going for Charge the Archon Immortal. You should, because you already saw it and you confirmed it. And you should know that because he's not on the map right now, he is currently defending this. I'm psychic, okay? His army guaranteed is right fucking here. His army's not going to be right there. His army's not going to be over here. His army is probably not going to be right here. His army, like, there might be a couple units right here. His army is most likely going to be right here. I don't know. I don't even know the compositions. All right, Sapien, I got you, dude. I fucking love you, man. I got you. You saw gateways, right? You saw gateways earlier. You saw a Robo. You saw Templar Archives. Anyone who goes for gateways, a Templar Archives, and a Robo on 3 bases is going to 100% go for Charge Lot, Archon, Immortal. Just because he has a Stargate, it does not mean he can't use a Stargate. But if he was going to use it, I would say at the most, you might see 1 or 2 Oracles in his army to revelate you, which is super fucking weird. It doesn't make any sense for a Charge Lot, Archon, Immortal army. But people do crazy shit. Maybe he'd have an Oracle or 2 in it. Also, maybe he wanted to put a couple stasis traps down for a couple of Oracles. But the one that would make more sense if he wanted to actually use it would be he would make Void Ray. And the only reason why he would make Void Ray is because he would want to have a shittier version of an Immortal in his army. Which is what it would be. A Void Ray is way worse than an Immortal is at killing armored units. Because, like, this guy should not be worried about you going Mass Corruptor, which is... I'll say a Void Ray is better than an Immortal at killing armored air units, which is what a Corruptor is for Zerg. But against killing armored ground units, Immortals are like fucking twice or 3 times as good as a Void Ray. They do more damage, more DPS. They have more DPS. So Immortals are going to be the go-to for killing your armored units. The other reason too is Immortals are also going to absorb more damage too. It's not only more DPS, but it's also a meatier, stronger fucking unit to have in your army. It's the same supply cost, and it's damn near the same resource cost. A Void Ray costs 25 minerals less than an Immortal, but it costs 50 more gas than an Immortal does. So overall, a Void Ray is actually more expensive. But, okay, he does not have a 4th base. So whatever, just putting this out there, if you're not a Zerg players are not subject to this idea, okay? Which is why this might seem confusing, because you are a Zerg player. If you are a Terran player, or if you are a Protoss player, and you are limited to 3 bases or less, there is no way a player can commit to one tech path and then go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go to the other one. For instance, if a Terran player was on 3 bases or less, and he made 111 barracks, factory, starport, and then he made 6 fucking barracks, and he got double engineering bays, and he got 1-1 upgrades, and then he goes, you know what, fucking lift off all 6 barracks, I'm getting 6 factories. You can't do that. And if he did, like, you can do that, but if he did, you just would attack him and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why do I just free win here? I don't understand. Your army is like the smallest shit ever. I don't get why. Okay, cool, I just won. Like, you just win the game. Because you can't, like, you can do that, but if you do, you just lose the game. Against someone who can macro decently. Same thing goes for Protoss. If I'm Protoss and I'm like, I'm gonna make 6 or 8 gateways with like 1 or 2 robos, and I'm making Archons and Chargelots and Immortals, and I have level 2 weapon, because I've chrono boosted my forge enough, level 2 weapon army, and I've already made like 6 Immortals and like 8 Archons, so I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm just gonna make 5 Stargates and a Fleet Beacon. You'd show up, and he would just like stop all production on his ground army, and just invest a whole bunch of new bank into production again, and you would actually have a window of time where you would just kill him before his production could kick in again. He might have like 2 carriers by the time you show up, and his supply would be like 122, and your supply would be 200. And he'd be like, what the hell is this again? I don't know when I should expect the 4th base, and if he plans to be defensive or come smash me. So here's the thing, right? You have a scout at his potential 4ths, which is great. It's wonderful. Now you know for sure. It's not that you don't... I think you're looking at it the wrong way. It's not that you don't know if he has... It's not that you don't know what he's going to do. Now you know he's not doing it entirely. That's like the important thing. You have 100% confirmed this Protoss player is not going to take a 4th base yet. Which means if you do have a 4th base, every single second that goes by, if you properly saturate your shit, you're getting ahead, further ahead, further ahead, further ahead. And you should feel confident in the fact that you go, all right, well, if this Protoss player wants to stay on 3 bases forever, I'm going to max quicker than he will. And I'm going to develop a bank on top of that before he even maxes out the first time. And then I can be the one who's aggressive because he's not taking... If he's going to be defensive this long, I can be aggressive now. And I can just keep using that bank to remax. And I can batter his supply down. And if he still doesn't take a 4th base, you should know that right around 10 minutes... You're not there yet, but we'll check this later. Around 10 minutes, that main base, it's going to start losing its fucking money. It's going to start losing its mineral patches. And around like 12 or 13 minutes, his natural is going to have the same problem. And around probably like 17 minutes or 18 minutes, his 3rd base is going to have the same problem. Around 10 minutes later, after you take the base, the patches are going to start disappearing on the expansion. And if you start having inefficient mining, you're going to be... It's going to be like, oh, I'm Zerg and I'm mining 3,500 or something because I have a good 80 drones, which is not what we see here, obviously. But it's what you should be aiming for. And the Protoss is like on 66 probes with an effective, instead of 24 patches of minerals, it's only like 17 patches of minerals. And it's like his economy is not like 2,500, 2,600, 2,700, whatever. Now it's only like 1,400. Or like 1,600. It's like almost half of what it was before. Because he's running out of patches. And now his income just sucks ass. So you shouldn't ever feel like pressured or scared at all of Protoss in this kind of a situation when they're defensively turtling. Wouldn't he die if he made 80 drones? I'm telling you right now, he could already be at 80 drones as of like fucking probably like 30 seconds ago. Maybe even like almost a minute ago. If the larva was more effective early on. And also the damage was not received. So Archon drop defense, I'll give you a fucking B+. Okay, you get a B+ grade. I don't like that you made Lings, which is why you didn't get an A, but your queens were in position at the right time, and you shoved it away, so it's good enough. You get a B+. You lost like 1 drone, or maybe 2 drones. The Archons did land and killed 1 or 2 drones, and that was it. That's good. That's good defense. That's minimal damage taken. However, the Oracle harass was a F. That's fucking F. You took way too much damage there. And that definitely slowed down the overall pacing of the game. And then on top of that, there was awkwardly paced units being built. Plus, there was not enough utilization of your larva. Your larva was sitting there a lot of different times. This Protoss player, I'm going to throw it out there. This Protoss player did nothing out of the ordinary. Opening up with a Stargate, going into an Oracle, going into a third base around 5 minutes, and then going into a charge lot Archon Immortal style beyond that is very standard. This dude played, this is like actually a great example of fighting against a standard Protoss who decided to open up Stargate first. This is so fucking standard. This is nothing like, oh, this guy, it's just this guy's style, he's unique. It's standard as fuck. So this is the kind of thing you should be able to expect from a lot of Protosses. It doesn't always have to be Stargate first, but the pacing of how he did things is super standard. And you should know that if a guy ever opens up Stargate first, there is minimal, very minimal units that are going to kill you on the ground, especially if he wants to go for a third. So like all these Lings are pointless. They don't make any fucking sense. Can we go back to when my larva pooled up? Maybe help me where I am wasting my attention. Are you understanding, Sapien, up to this point? Anything I'm saying, though? Are you? Is it like, am I confusing you more, or is it making sense? I mean, I don't want to confuse you more. It's making sense? Alright, good. I mean, feel free to ask questions as well. I don't mind. I know you are asking some here and there, and you're talking and stuff, but... I'm easygoing. Alright, so like right now, okay? Right now, perfect example. First things first that you should definitely be doing. I don't think you necessarily have to send another Overlord into his base. I'm not opposed to it, which is what you're doing right now. But this is the only thing your Overlord should be looking for in his base right now, okay? The only thing your Overlord should be looking for in his base is, are you making more production from your Stargate? Are you making another unit out of your Stargate now? Or are you making like a lot of gates right now? Because he could do that. There's nothing forcing him to take a third. And second thing you should be doing is you should be sending at the bare minimum one Zergling to his third base right now, because the only thing that makes sense with your Zerglings that you have, which is not a lot, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't know if you make more. I can't remember if you make more right now or not. But the only thing that makes sense with your Lings, the only thing at all that makes sense about Lings right now at this point in the game, is the ability to deny his third base. Because I'm just gonna throw it out there, even without scouting the Protoss, okay? Even without scouting the Protoss, Protoss doesn't suddenly just magically pull out like a jackpot out of their ass. It is impossible for this guy to already have a bunch of warp gates already done at this point. The best thing a Protoss player could hope for is starting warp gates right now, starting gateways right now. That is it. And as you can see, look at the production. He is starting gateways right now. He opened up with a Stargate. He made a unit out of the Stargate. He opened up with 2 gateways in front of his base. He also made units out of those 2 gateways. And he also expanded with heavy gas. Okay? So he doesn't suddenly also have the ability to be like, mass gates! Like, there's limitations here. And his limitation right now is he can either start gateways right now, or he can start third base right now. I make a handful of random Lings in case of random adepts. That's my thinking, at least. So, you're not wrong when you think about the fact that there could be adepts attacking you at some point in time. You're not wrong, but the one thing you are wrong about, though, when you think that way, is this. You have to pay attention to little things. The little things make a big deal. So far, what you just said could be a possibility. It could be. I'll tell you when it can't be. It could be a possibility right now. It could still be a possibility.
Newly birthed queen ready.
Still could be a possibility. Now, if you take a second to look at his gateway, from your vision, I'm not going to click his gateway. From your vision, he made a stalker, which automatically means there's only one adept. And if you, especially if you have speedlings, like 4 or 6 lings can fucking destroy an adept. 4 lings can easily destroy an adept, especially if a queen is there. 4 lings can kill an adept if you fight him on an area, if you already have speed, because he won't kite you as well. It'll be close. Like the adept might win if he has good focus fire, and he's like good at microing, and he like sends a shade out and doesn't quite die, but he kills some of your lings. Sure, maybe the adept lives then. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but 6 lings guaranteed will kill an adept. And yeah, you're not worried about killing adepts on the map anyways. You're only worried about defending your base. So for now, so 4 lings and a queen easily shit on this one adept, and you already know there's not a second adept on the way. And now you know that it's an impossibility that he's gonna go mass adepts or like a handful of adepts, because the gateway's not producing anything. He's making a second gate. He's still not producing anything off the first gate. And this also should tell you 100% the fact that he's not making anything out of the gateway, that should tell you this fucking dude is teching. Like, where is his money going? He's not just gonna have 600 minerals in the bank, 500 minerals in the bank, 400 minerals in the bank, whatever. He's doing something with it, and he's building something with his money. And no, I'm gonna tell you right now, no Protosses ever are going to just be like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wall my fucking natural with 2 gates, and I'm gonna build 4 more gates in my main and only use those, because I'm gonna meta this guy and make him think I'm not building anything out of my gateways, but really I am. No one fucking is gonna do that. You're like, if someone did do that, you would run into that 1 out of every 500 games. It would be so inconsistently rare that it's. That sounds like a Protoss thing to do. Well, if you're Zerg and you scout with your Overlord, you can ruin the entire plan, because you can tell a lot from what Protoss is doing if you know how to read Protoss. I can tell you what a Protoss is doing fucking all the time. Most of the time, obviously. I'm not a fucking map hacker, But I can read Protoss pretty well. There's a lot of things that give tells. And if this guy does not make more than one stalker, there's nothing stopping him from having an overlord fly into his base in a second area and scout everything, right? Like, you can tell a lot. But anyways, you can already rule out the fact that this guy is going to be going for a lot of adepts because he's not producing off the gateway. I never care to look at gateways that deeply, and I'm just going through my build without paying attention. Exactly, and I think the reason why this is happening to you is because you're feeling overwhelmed and you're trying to play fast and you don't have enough experience yet. Which you know, again, there's a lot of potential for you, Sapien, as I've told you before. You will get better and better and better with more experience as time goes on. But paying attention to shit like this, just the fact that he's not building more units out of the gateway, that tells you multiple things. Not only is there no threat of mass adepts hitting you at fucking the next 2 minutes from now or minute from now, like 5 adepts show up, it's not going to happen because he's not making any gateway units. But the second thing is he's spending his money elsewhere. And if he's not spending it on gateway units, again, no one's going to be like, I'm going to pretend to make gateways, but make more gateways and actually use these gateways. No one's going to fucking do that. This 100% tells you, if he's not making gates, that he's most likely going for tech. And I'm just going to throw this out there as well. Any Protoss player that's going to skip gateways, okay, is not going to go for a timing-based build in terms of ground. So you can also, if he's not going to make gateway units right now, it also tells you he's not going Immortals. It's guaranteed. It's fucking guaranteed. Who the fuck is going to go Immortals and just have, like, it'd be like this, okay? Imagine. It's like he, like, chrono boosts the robo and he's got 3 Immortals and, like, 3 Immortals are just walking in the field like tuk, 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 tuk. And they're like, we got speedlings, and we have no gateway units with us. We're all dead. Shoot some speedlings, and they start shooting fucking lings and shit, and just 3 Immortals randomly walk out and all die. No one is gonna fucking do that. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any fucking sense. The only way you would expect Immortals is if he was making gateway units still, and it was expected, like a specific. My mouth is so dry. Give me 1 second. I need a quick hydration. 1 second. All right. The only way Immortals would be a thing is if he was making gateway units, specifically either Zealots or Sentries. Sentries would be, you would think it's going to be like a choo-choo train all in. The whole, like, force field pressure, just in your face, super all in. If it was Zealots right now being made, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be Immortals as well. But it also means that his gas is freed up to do something else. Okay? But no units at all being made. And also, but, like, what I'm saying is if he was making any, no matter what ground unit it is, there is a chance it could also be for Immortals to back it up. Because it makes sense. There is a chance that that could happen, so that as a build you have to think about as a possibility of what he could do. But if this guy stops making fucking gateway units altogether, he just stops, you already can cancel out like 4 of his builds. Charge that all in. Nope. Adept pressure builds. Nope. Immortal all-in builds with ground army. Nope. Like a warp prism with fucking like just a random ragtag army of like 20 gateway supply. Nope. None of that's happening. Okay, the charge that all-in is still actually a maybe, because Protoss actually makes like 8 gates with that, so that's actually still a possibility. I take back what I said. He could totally be making a Twilight Council and upgrading it with chrono boosts to he could be chrono boosting his gateway or his Twilight Council for charge and making a robo and then getting ready to make 8 gates, and then all 8 gates start pumping zealots at the same time. That actually could be a possibility, but that possibility gets ruled out right now when you see that his mineral line at his natural is not the most saturated, and also he's making gas here. Now you can go, okay, it's very unlikely that he's doing a charge lot all in, because you don't go 4 gas fucking charge lot all in. That's not how that works. Okay. So there's a lot of builds you can rule out. You can rule out a lot of the ground aggressive builds early because he's not... This is already too expensive to be a charge lot all in, and there is no reason why you would ever want to go Immortals with no ground army around it. So if you think about it like that, what are the options left that Protoss has? We already talked about earlier, but I'll just mention it again. Stargate builds, and we have Warp Prism builds with like Templar tech, because those are both things that don't need to have units being made early to support them. Stargate units fly into your base, get out. They don't need ground units. They do not need ground units to support them. And Warp Prism builds with Templar tech do not need ground units as well to support them. It's just isolated pressure on its own. How do I feel about Blind Spores? I do not think Blind Spores are good. If your opponent actually does like a ground all into you, like an Immortal all in, and you're making Spores, you're gonna lose a lot of games to Protoss's that, or that's like, that mentality is when the same thing to you, where you just start, it's like an Avillo mentality. You just start putting yourself behind for no reason. You know what I mean? It's like a bad opener. It means that you don't know how to read a game. If you make a habit to do things like that, you'll never know how to read a game. You have to learn how to read a game a little bit. Shots fired. Let's be honest. Avillo doesn't know how to read fucking StarCraft games at all, guys. Like, the dude didn't know what he was doing at all. Every single game I played Avillo, against Avillo, I was always like, I'm always ahead for no reason. I said I'd cancel them with Overlord Speed Scout. That's still not good. It's still not good. Because you're investing 225 minerals into Spores, and you're also taking 3 drones off the mineral line, even if it's only for 10 seconds each. That's tied up resources that are not being used otherwise in a better way. It's not a good way to do it. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Sapien, my dude. Right now. Okay, watch this. Right now. If you made a Spore Crawler and your natural right now, and your main base right now. The Spore Crawler's build time is not that long. It's like 20 seconds. It's 21 seconds, okay? So if you made it right now, we can expect them to be done at 4 minutes and 12 seconds, right? At 4:12, the Spore would be done. And let's just say, hypothetically, you didn't know his Oracle flew out of his base, because you're not always going to catch it. Maybe you don't catch it one time. And you're like, ah, fuck. I didn't see it. Well, what you can do then is put your queen at both your mineral lines, like your queens that you have, and hope for the best, right? You're like, all right, I'm covering my mineral lines, and you have to stall until 4:12, because that's when Spore Colors will be done. So imagine a queen and your mineral lines, because you should know this is an Oracle, because again, an Oracle is something you can make by itself that'll do damage. It's not Phoenix because it's not being made consistently, and it's probably not a Void Ray, because a Void Ray is not only more expensive and slower, but even if you were out of position against a Void Ray, it wouldn't fucking matter anyways. Nothing matters. A Void Ray is a piece of shit. It's a flying turd. Just imagine if you took a dump and that dump somehow flew out of the toilet. That's a Void Ray. So you don't got to worry about it. So an Oracle is the only thing you got to really worry about. So prepare for the Oracle. And imagine what would happen if... Let's speed this up to 4:12.
Swarm forces under attack. Queen.
Imagine if your Spore Crawler was finished... Like, your queen was already here, okay? This queen came back. A second queen popped out of the hatchery at the exact same time. Now you have 2 queens smacking that fucking Oracle, which is making it take way more damage way faster. And you take your drones like this. You green box this side of the mineral line, and you just right-click the top side. And then your Spore is done right now. And now this Oracle, if it committed like this, like it did, it 100% would die before it kills 6. Your spore would already be done. There's a very good chance if an Oracle flies into 2 queens that he will go like this. Nope. I'm just going to leave now. Nope. I don't want to lose this Oracle. 2 queens. You can see 1 queen has already broken the shields of this Oracle before your spore is even done. 2 queens would practically have killed it already. Like, close to it. It would have, like, 40 hit points left right now. And if it's still within range of queens, like, pretty close, it will guaranteed die before it gets away. Because queens are doing 18, 18, 18. To an Oracle. It doesn't even have armor. 0 armor. So it is full damage. The biggest thing was your... Like I said before, you could have honestly not even have made spores. And you still would have actually been okay this game if your queen would have just been in the right spot. Your queen being out here is so fucking pointless. But spores are great because you can actually lose 0 drones with a spore. But do not get in the habit of making blind spores. Here's another tip, okay? If you like to open Overlord speed, why are you not also sending like your 3rd Overlord automatically to the other side of his base right away? Because you want to know a trick? Imagine this, okay? Imagine this. Let's say you sent your 3rd Overlord. Instead of having an Overlord like fucking right here now, because you don't have to worry about Cannon Rush. Cannon Rush is not a thing if you know this guy expanded, right? It's nice to feel good and feel safe, but you should feel safe just seeing this because there is no chance this guy is making cannons and proxies and shit over here if he's got this. Okay. Now imagine if this Overlord right now was actually right here, and you go like this. This Overlord goes like that, and it immediately sees the gases and goes, all right, cool, and it goes right back over the cliff. This Overlord goes right back over the cliff, and now you have another Overlord at the same time going in like this. Imagine. This Stalker would sit here initially because he wants to make sure that Overlord does not get spotted. Or he wants to make sure the Overlord dies before it scouts what's going on. And your second Overlord could come in, and it would be like already right here before the Stalker could even realize. And if the Stalker decides to move, imagine this, okay? Here's another crazy idea. Imagine if your Overlord is right here, which is still giving you vision of the door. A second Overlord comes in the back of the Protoss's base, like we just talked about. The Stalker goes, fuck that! I'm gonna go kill that thing. And then he opens up the door. Let's just say he opens up the door, okay? Like this. He opens up the door like this, and let's say it's because he runs up here to kill your Overlord, and you can see him opening the door with your Overlord here, and you have lings. The lings you have right now, it's not even a lot of them, but you should already have had ling speed done because you didn't even start it until you had 200 gas. So this should already be done. And let's say now you run speedlings into his base, and you just kill the fucking Adept, surround it, and then you kill the Stalker. Or worst case scenario, he's in the door because he actually properly put the Adept in the right spot. And now you actually kill the Adept with like 2 lings left over. But he doesn't have another unit to deal with that because he didn't make any units out of the gateway. That could also be something you could do. Like there's so many things you could do here with this position. And you don't even lose an Overlord. Like, and then also the other thing, the other thing that would be great is what if your Overlord was up here and you actually caught wind that he had a Phoenix or an Oracle because your Overlord is starting to move in this way and he flies past it. It gives you more range of vision of what he could do. He's not flying straight south out of his base, as you can see with your Overlord. Like, he's not coming straight down. He's going to the right. And what if you had an Overlord over here already? There's no reason why there should be Overlords scattered like this hard this early and only one scouting Overlord. You still have the idea to scout him with the second Overlord. You just did it now. You're doing it now when there's, again, you know he expanded, so why aren't one of these Overlords over there already? Okay, moving forward. Your biggest problem in this game, again, I know this is easier for me to say it than it is for you to fix it, but I'm trying my best to give you lots of ideas on how to fix it. But your biggest problem in this game is that you are putting yourself in this psychological fuckfest where you don't know how to, you're telling yourself, I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea, fuck. And then you're just playing the game in this like staggered, nothing flows kind of way where you're making shit at awkward times and you're bouncing around between all your tasks all the time. When even if you don't even know what the Protoss is doing, if you just played, like you would even have a better chance to win if you just did a solid macro build blindly. You have this like emphasis on the Overlord speed, and it's actually fucking hurting you more than it's helping you, in my opinion. Because this, like seeing this right here with this Overlord, this should tell you what he's doing, right? Like we talked about earlier. He's making more gates. He already has more gates. He's going up to a decent gateway count. He's going up to 4 currently. He's going up to 4 gates. 4 gates. This is not his first 2 gateways. He also has a Robo. And he has a Templar Archives. This should tell you that he wants to go into Archons, Charge Lots, and Immortals. Because it is the army that makes the most sense with these buildings. He's not going to go Colossus, Stalker, Archon. Because number one, he doesn't even have a, he doesn't have a Robo Bay. And also, that composition doesn't make any sense because it's way too gas expensive for 2 bases. You're not going to go Stalker, Archon, Colossus, or some shit like that. And another reason why you should also rule out the fact that he's going to be going for Colossus is because, again, he doesn't have a lot of gas. And going Sentries is actually really good with Colossus. Having Colossus just completely isolated against Zerg that have no coverage at all to zone out the area, so 0 Sentry. That makes Colossus really easy to kill for Zerg. You can just go mass roaches and be like, lol, you're dead. And you lose. Like, Protoss dies. You kind of need sentries for Colossus. So the fact that you don't even see sentries at all, once again rules out one of his builds that he could be doing. He's not going to go Colossus because he does not have sentries. Even though even if you still haven't seen the Robo Bay, you can assume he's not going to go Colossus because there are no sentries. So what the hell is this Robo going to do then, right? What's it going to do? What can it make if it's not going to make a Colossus? Like, maybe he could make Disruptors. But why the fuck is he going to be making a Templar Archives if he's going to go Disruptors? Because you want to know what's good with Disruptors? High mobility units, like Blink Stalkers. Going Archon Disruptor, unless you're Mechanic, that's not the greatest build. Because it's again, really expensive on the gas, and it doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of synergy. It means that means that your build is going to be like, your plan is to sit there and fucking tank the area. I'm not moving because Archons cannot kite for shit. So you're going to just plant your foot in one spot and just have Disruptors shoot forward and like annoy the Zerg. That's your plan. There's no way you can make an army that's that big on 2 bases to be able to do something like that. It is irrelevant. And I'm not going to lie, I've never seen a Protoss play like that, except for Mechanic. I have seen a Protoss go Archon and Disruptor, but literally that's just Mechanic that's ever done that to me. It's something, again, you're never going to fucking see. Most Protosses only go Disruptors with Stalkers, because the whole point is they want to shot you, and they want to pull the Disruptors back while they blink backwards and kite you, and then kite you into more Disruptor balls. That's how you use Disruptors the most commonly as Protoss. So if we're not going to see Disruptors, most likely, because there's not an overwhelming amount of Stalkers. This guy doesn't already have like 10 Stalkers. He's got 1. And he also has a Stargate. What we're going to probably see out of this Robo is Immortals. It makes the most sense. So if he's going to make Immortals, especially since there's a Templar Archives, what the fuck else is he going to do, right? It makes sense that if he's going to make Immortals, he's going to make the meta of Protoss, which is Archon, Charge Lot, Immortal. All 3 of these buildings here reveal that. Templar Archives is required for Twilight Council is required for a Templar Archives. The Twilight Council can get Charge. The Templar Archives can get Archons, or just get Templars for Storm. And the Robo can build Immortals. This is the most meta version of Protoss that exists. This build right here. It doesn't have to open with Stargate, but Archon Charged Immortal is very meta. Then, he's making more gates. Which kind of rules out the fact that he wants to go Stargate. Again, the only thing he could do is pepper in some Void Rays, which would actually be good for you. It's so bad. So the fact that he's making more gates already, and you can see that, is confirming that he wants to inflate his gateway count to deal with what you're doing. And again, Charge Archon Immortal is the thing you should be worried about right now. But you should also be worried about the potential of what he could do now, which is a Warp Prism Harass. Because we don't see... we do not see... And here's the final piece of the puzzle, okay? The final piece of the puzzle. You scouted everything. I'm not just watching the map and I'm not like cheating here. You see everything because you have Overlord speed. You see Gateway, Gateway, Robo, Templar Archives, Gateway, Gateway. You saw it all. So if we're thinking about what is our immediate thing we need to worry about against 4 gates, a Robo, and a Templar Archives, and a Stargate. Well, we've already dealt with the Stargate because we got Spores. The Oracle's not doing shit now. But we should worry about the ability for him to make Archons. And you're not going to be making Dark Templar Archons because Archons are Archons, it's the same thing. But we're not going to worry about DTs because there's not even a Dark Shrine. Instead, we're going to worry about the fact that he's going to be going for a Templar Archives into Archons because he's only got 4 gates. 4 gates is not enough to just be like, time for a timing against Zerg and we're going to overpower his base and kill him. 4 gates is enough to harass you. It's not enough to all-in you. So what we should be looking for is we should be paying attention to the fact that if this guy takes a third at a normal time, he is going to harass me, potentially. If he does not take a third at a normal time, we should since you have Overlord speed, we could send in a follow-up scout of an Overlord around 5-10, like 30 seconds from now, to go, are you making Gateway, 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 Gateway again? And are you going up to 8 gates now, or 7 gates now? And are you actually going to all-in me because you're not taking a third? That's when it would make sense to... You could deduce it like that. And to deal with what he's doing right now, like we talked about earlier, where it's like 4 gates, a Robo, and what looks like Templar tech. Or it is Templar tech, but it's high Templar tech. You can make 8 roaches. And 8 roaches can shut down 1 prism. Easy. Like, not even hard. 1 prism with queens behind it, smacking the prism is so fucking easy to shut down with 8 roaches. And you're not supposed to be worried about like mass zealots being warped in with the prism when he harasses you because he's on 4 gates. It's going to be very minor amounts of pressure, which is usually going to be literally just in the warp prism. Like he won't have enough army on 4 gates to plant that motherfucking prism down and warp in zealots and expect it to not die to your queens just smacking it out of the air. He can't defend it. The only way he can defend a prism is if he doesn't let it get hit at all, which means he's going to be mobile, flying around, harassing you. And then, sure, then he can make it work because because that doesn't involve zealot warpins. So, 8 roaches and drones. You're more than... There's nothing stopping you from drones at this point.
Swarm forces under attack. Swarm
and you're making 12 lings. And here's the thing about 12 lings, right? I think, did you make these the second you saw the third? No, you made these before you saw the third. Okay, so you scouted the third at 5:10. I would say it's a great time to probably have another Overlord go into his base. Because this is a 5:10 expand here, right now, in this specific game. And I assume you were thinking to yourself, ah, fuck. He's got 3 adepts. And like you said before, I don't like taking damage from adepts running around my base. I don't like that. I don't want to die to adepts. You have more than enough time to wait for your Roach Warren to be done at this point and just make roaches. Because this already, once again, tells you. This tells you, like, why the hell would Protoss make this if his plan is to go for adepts, because here's another thing too. More information to rule out that mentality. You need to learn the differences between what buildings look like when they're producing and when they're not producing. And I can already tell you right now, in this game right now, this Templar, or this Twilight Archives, is not producing an upgrade. Do you see how, like, pay attention to the beams, okay? I'm gonna put it on everyone's vision. Look at the lights on it. It's not really going that fast. It's like, do-do-do, 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 do-do-do. That's not producing. That is not an upgrade. Now, I want him to start one soon. When are you gonna start it? Do you start one? Does he ever start one? Okay, here we go. Now watch the difference in how the Templar the Twilight Council looks. This building right here. Watch it. That's a lot faster. I would say it is one of the more subtle buildings to look at to see if it's upgrading something, but you should get used to that. Like, look how once you see it a few times, you can definitely see a difference. So you can see how the light's kind of going up relatively slow, and then it starts going really fast once it starts an upgrade. You can tell it's upgrading now. And if you fucking saw that thing upgrading the first time you were in his base, I would then be like, okay, maybe he was gonna actually just bait the fucking Templar Archives and he's gonna cancel it, and he's gonna really just all-in you. That's a possibility. That is a possibility. But that logic would only apply. It would only apply until this point right here. So you see your lings are like, oh fuck, adepts, and let's just say hypothetically you saw a Templar. Jesus Christ, I keep saying the wrong thing. A Twilight Archives. Let's say you saw it going just upgrading. I'd be like, okay, maybe you should worry about some fucking some adept timing. It could be. I would recommend following up a scout on his third, like you did. This is a great scout follow up. I love it. You just literally ruled out the fact that you're being hit by a bunch of adepts right now. And I know you're thinking to yourself, but ViBE, I already started the lings. I already started the lings. I really don't think you needed to. And the reason why I don't think you needed to, but again, so I'll finish my first thought and I'll go into the second one. Seeing the third base, that's a big investment of minerals, and now that confirms the fact that this dude does not have a lot of gateways. Okay? It confirms the fact that he does not have a shit ton of gateways. And the other thing is when you scouted his base, you did not see a ton of gateways. So you already know you're not being all-in. Okay? You were definitely not being all-in. So at the very most, it's harass. And couldn't this guy have 5 to 6 adepts right now? Yes. Yes, he could. Yes, he could. But these are adepts without attack speed. Adepts without attack speed are not that scary. And roaches, one roach will fucking destroy one adept. Okay? Like hard. Not even close. And if you would have made, like I said before, like 8 roaches for the possibility of the Archon drop that looked like what he showed you, which is what it is. 4 gates, Templar Archives with a Robo into Charged Out Archon Immortal. 8 roaches shuts down the Archon drop really easy. You want to know what else 8 roaches shuts down really easy? Fucking adepts. If there's like 5 of them without resonating glaives. Also, it's like it shuts that shit down too, easy. It's not even a challenge. And you've suddenly just dealt with multiple ranges of what the Protoss could do to you. You know what I mean? Alright, I'm gonna kind of wrap it up now, I think. I'm gonna get to the end here. Yeah, you only lost one drone to that. This is still overall good defense. But now you're making roaches again. Oh, sorry, those are the first roaches. I actually think those are fine. Those roaches are fine. Because you don't have any yet, but you have a lot of lings.
Queen birth successful.
Now we have a melee upgrade, Baneling Nest. All these upgrades are like too early. The melee is fine, but the Baneling Nest is early. Again, it would only make sense if you were going to go for a Roach Bane bust. Because it's way too early. You don't even have a Hydrogen yet. The Hydrogen should actually be built before the Bane Nest if you do this build. If you also plan on using Roaches. Okay, so here, let me explain it like this. There are two ways to go Ling Hydra Bane. One way is you want to open up with Ling Bane and you literally skip the Roach Warren altogether. And you're just relying on Ling Bane to defend yourself, which means you also make extra queens, which is kind of what you did. But then you also made a Roach Warren, and you made Roaches too, and you also got Roach Speed, which makes no sense with when you took this Baneling Nest now. You're doing like two different builds kind of mixed into one. And also you should not have made as many queens as you did if you're going to do the Roach build. Doing both builds simultaneously made both of your builds slower than they should have been. You could have had a lot more either way. For a lot of reasons, but also, like, realistically, what are these roaches going to do here, okay? You have 6 roaches with roach speed. You've invested a lot into that. These roaches against this are going to do fucking nothing. You also have Banes and Lings. You don't currently have any Banes yet, but you've made a Bane Nest. You got Baneling speed. That is a big investment. And even that, what are Banelings going to do against this? Banelings aren't going to do shit against this. This is like mostly Archon and Immortal. There's some gateway units here. This army is actually really tiny. If you just had a lot of, like, by 8 minutes, if you're going to go Ling Bane, you should definitely already have the ability to have Hydras out now. And by 8 minutes, if you were going to do the Roach style, you would hopefully have around like 160 supply. Seriously. And that's with a gas opener, like you did. If you did my build with the gas list and you went for roaches, you could be fucking maxed out by 8 minutes. With roaches. But you're definitely dead because you've just done too much of everything and not enough of one thing. To be honest, even if you weren't supply blocked, you're dead. That doesn't change anything. If you had 12 more roaches than you do right now, which is what you have in larva, and let's pretend, okay? 2 of these larvae were overlords, and then 10 of them were roaches. Hypothetically. Or actually, you have enough supply now, because your overlord just finished. Okay, so 12 roaches. 12 roaches, okay? So now your roach count is at 18. You would still die to this. Because you would still be like on equal terms of supply with Protoss. Instead of being behind on supply, you would be like equal supply. And being equal supply with Protoss, when you're going roaches and they're going Immortal Archon, you have to take a step back and go, what the fuck is going wrong here? Because the only way roaches beat Protoss is if you are way above their supply. If you overwhelm them, not match them. 1 Immortal is the same supply cost as 2 roaches, and 1 Immortal beats the ever-living shit out of 2 roaches. 1 Archon is the same supply cost as 2 roaches, same story. Multiple Archons and Immortal put together is exponentially more scary than just one by itself. Like, for instance, 2 Archons, or I'll use Immortals. 1 Immortal easily beats 2 roaches. 2 Immortals easily, even more easily beat 4 roaches. 3 Immortals, 6 roaches. It gets even more one-sided the more you have of the same ratio. 10 immortals, 20 roaches. 10 immortals would be like, la 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 la, everything's dead. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fucking good for Zerg. The only way you win going for low tier tech like this as Zerg is you overwhelm. You have to overwhelm him. So your supply right now, the only way you would win is if your supply right now was anywhere in the ballpark of 170 or more. Seriously. You would need about 35 more roaches. Like minimum. Like 30 to 35 more roaches. And then you could, then I would be like, okay, yeah, you have a chance to win this fight. So what do you do versus this army? Well, I'm just gonna let you guys know a secret right now. If the game looks like this and this is happening, you just might as well just leave the game because you're dead. There's no way around this at this point in the game. You're fucked. It's one of those things where a lot of people, I think about StarCraft in the incorrect way. It's not about what you do right now. It's about what happened up to this point, and what happened up to this point is not good enough for Zerg, which is why this is now resulting in a loss. This is unavoidable. This is a unavoidable loss now. There's just too much like fucking around for Zerg at this point. Like, there wasn't even a lot of workers killed. There was only 7. Like, that's not even the worst. That's recoverable. But the pacing of everything that happened with Zerg was just awkward for the most of the game. Same replay 1.5 hours later. What the fuck? I know. It's just because, like, I'm trying to, like, break down the entirety of how you scout and react to Protoss, and it's very time consuming. I could probably talk about this for like another day. I'm not even kidding. There are so many aspects to this, to this level of analysis. I could talk about this for 24 hours straight. Like, there's so much fucking levels to it. But just to keep it really basic, it's what we talked about for the most part is the biggest one of all is if you did, I would watch it. The biggest part of all that you need to focus on, Sapien, is you need to advance from where you are right now, okay? There's 2 ways to do it. You have to choose one type of player you want to be, Sapien, okay? You have 2 choices. Number 1, you take a build that is well-rounded and wins a good amount of the time, okay? It's like it could be, you could say, okay, this is Lambo's build, or I don't give a fuck, it's Cyril's build, it's somebody's build, and you really like it, and you don't deviate from that build. You fucking do that build, and you don't do it like shit either. You know what I mean? Like you do it. I'm not saying you did this one like shit. Okay, I love you, man. I'm speaking ahead of myself here. You pay attention to the game timer, and you go, all right, am I actually doing this build even remotely close to what the pro does? If the answer is no, well, you fix that and you get better at it. You become the guy who is brainless execution, which I'm not gonna lie, dude, a lot of people are. That's not an insult. There's a lot of people out there that don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they do know how to imitate a build. Which is why players like that usually have like 60% win rates or like 55% win rates. Like, they'll go up eventually because they do the build good enough to win sometimes. But anytime someone deviates the build that makes shit awkward, they don't ever know how to react to that and they lose. So you'll never beat really, really good players playing like that. But you will be good enough to like get GM with that at some point, or at least like high masters. There's a lot of people who play like that. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to really work on your reactive scouting if you're going to be a macro player, and you need to start doing things like paying attention to gateways, paying attention to chrono boost, paying attention to the nexus itself. Trying to start putting things together, like what is the range of things that my opponent can do. For instance, at the start of the game, okay, Let me give you guys a paint. Okay, this might make more sense. This honestly, this tree might make more sense. Okay. Like, how can I do this? Okay. Now, this is the start of the game, okay? Start of the game. At the start of a game, you don't know what the fuck is happening because the game is just starting. You don't know what your opponent's going to do. You have to figure that out, right? Now, your first Overlord gets across the map and you see a Nexus with your first Overlord. This example is range, right? This is the range of the builds your opponent can do. If the Nexus is not there, you can be like, cannons, proxy, I didn't spell it right, proxy, fucking, hidden base, one base all in. You understand what I'm talking about? Like, all these things could happen, right? All these branches of builds could happen, but the second you fucking see, oh, he's expanded, you can just be like this. Nope. None of that's happening. All of that is no longer happening. You can just fucking roll all these builds out. Because it doesn't make any fucking sense that he's doing these things if you spot something that tells you he's not doing that. And I think almost everyone out there can relate to this and understand this because this is about as basic as it gets for StarCraft. But you have to do this as the game goes on. There are more things that happen that give you stages of the game where it's like, okay, well, it rules that out, rules that out, rules that out, rules that out. For instance, like what I talked about earlier when you scouted the first time around 3 minutes, when you scouted into his base. Remember what I said? Imagine that branch now having Immortal all in, Charge Lot all in, Stargate, Council, fucking just Gateway all in. We can rule out all the all-ins. Every all-in. Rule them out. Why? Gateway hasn't been producing anything for the longest time. He's taking extra gases, which means he's getting really high gas count. And there is 0 all-ins in the game that go off of 4 gases for Protoss on 2 bases with a low probe count on minerals. This means that this guy is going to play a longer game, so all-in is kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? So we can rule out 8-gate all-in, we can rule out Immortal all-ins, we can rule out fucking pressure builds, like all-in builds. All these builds get fucking just axed right now for like the really early timing of it. I'm not saying he can't all-in ever again, but what I am saying is for the next like minute of this game or like 2 minutes of this game, you are safe from all-ins and you now only have to deal with harassment if he attacks you. And you can tell that literally just from this. He has not been repeatedly producing units and he's also going gas crazy. And your Overlord's going to scout even more in detail further into his base. But what you should expect now is he's teching. It's like a 1-1-1 from Terran. He's not all-inning you. So freaking out and going, I'm gonna die, it makes no sense, right? I'm not saying that's what you did, but I'm just saying in general, you can rule things out of their build. If you understand what they're capable of. And that comes from experience. So it's something you gotta work on. It's just something you have to work on. And you have to like, the more experience you get, the easier it'll become. But just know that this Protoss player played a very relatively standard game. Guys, I haven't played Billions yet today. I'm going to very soon. I know. I see you guys. Chat, I see you. This replay analysis is actually really long. But yeah. Hopefully that all makes sense. You just got to rule out what they are not. A lot of people that don't understand StarCraft, it's because they don't look at any of the details. They don't pay attention to any of the fucking minor details. They're just like, I'm like, what is he doing? I don't know. He's Protoss. I don't fucking know. Anything? And it's because that person is not actually looking at details. They're not looking at chrono energy. This tells you he's not been going crazy on probes. And you know what? Do you like... Perfect example, okay? Perfect example. If a Protoss player has a fuckload of energy on a Nexus, that is for one of two reasons. Number one, it's because they're bad. Okay? It's because they're just like, oh, whoops, I forgot. I have Chrono Boost. I could use that, and I could make probes faster. Well, this is Master League, so you can already rule that one out, right? No one's fucking in Master League that's like, oh yeah, I forgot about my fucking race mechanic. That'd be like a Zerg player having a queen that makes the first queen and goes, oh, whoops, I got 75 energy. I forgot I can inject. You can rule that shit out right away. It's Master League. So what's left? The second thing, which means he's not prioritizing his money to pump out probes and pump out units out of the gateways. Instead, he's prioritizing his spending elsewhere. And the only thing that makes sense is he's teching really fast. As we'll see, let's back it up to the Protoss's view. And watch. He might chrono boost a couple times early on for the probes here and there, once or twice. And he'll chrono boost the first unit out of the gateway. But let's watch this chrono energy, okay? My guess is he's going to make a Stargate real quick. Obviously, we know he makes a Stargate, but there you go. Look at his money. Just take a quick gander at his money. He's still maintaining probe production, okay? And he's not maintaining chrono production, but yet he got a Stargate really fast. It is important to note that it is impossible. I know I'm swearing a lot, guys. I'm just passionate. I'm not angry. I hope you guys understand that. I just get passionate when I talk about this stuff. I'll try to stop swearing as much. It's impossible for this Protoss player to pop a Stargate out this fast if he was chronoing probes, because if he's chronoing probes, he's spending money twice as fast. Instead of a probe coming out every 12 seconds, it's coming out every 6 seconds. So instead of every 12 seconds going 50, 50, 50, it's 100, 100, 100. And you can't make a Stargate that fast if you chrono boost your probes. So that in itself is also a massive tell that this guy is teching, right? You're like, oh, what? Okay, he doesn't like chrono. He likes to tech. Little details like that are really good to pick up on Protoss. On players in general, but Protoss is the way we're describing right now. He doesn't spin chronos. And what is he going to do with the chrono? I bet he's probably going to chrono an Oracle. Because an Oracle, if he's going to make one Oracle and be done anyways, it doesn't matter if he chrono boosts the Stargate or not, in terms of it's going to cost him more money. It's just effectively saying, I'm going to chrono boost that building. It does not cost more money unless it's something that rapidly makes again and again and again, like a probe. So I would not be surprised if he chronos the Stargate. All that's going to do is it's going to make the Oracle hit your base faster. Now, if he was going to make 4 Oracles in a row, yeah, that would increase spending, right? But he's not doing that. He's just making the 1. So this dude is all about the tech. He is not. His build is designed in a way where he's all about hitting the tech timings faster, but delaying his own economy more. And he's revealing that to you by having high chrono energy. So again, that's another tell, right? That we talked about earlier. Just because he has a lot of chrono energy, when you saw the Stargate, you should already know as well on top of that, oh, this guy had a Stargate really early. Not only because he didn't make anything out of the gateway for after the Stalker and the Adept, which has been sitting there for like a minute, but also he's not chronoing anything. So he's slamming out that tech as quick as he can. Things like that are things you need to learn. And also, another thing too, this is the last thing I'm going to say and then I think we're done. If I were you and I saw this Protoss player not building anything out of the gateway and also not spending his chrono energy, I would have had more emphasis on scouting that Overlord and not looking at my base while the Overlord flies through his base. Because you're going to see some shit in his base, guaranteed. Like, you're going to see something. And if you would have paid attention to his base because you were like, okay, this guy's rushing tech, you would have saw an Oracle.
Swarm forces under attack.
But because you were looking at your base when that happened, you did not see the Oracle. And there you go. Hopefully that makes sense for you, man, and it helps out. And thank you guys for watching another replay analysis. This has been a bit of a long one. This has been basically, there's only so much I can say because there was like a lot of misread signs this game for the Zerg, more or less. But this one was basically more about how to read a Protoss and try to like work around it. But yeah, the biggest reason why the game was lost is the Zerg player, the guy we were looking at, the Zerg player, he spent too much time doing kind of like muddling around with random things early on, and not enough emphasis on the economy as fast. And then they're just obviously that showed in the timing push. The Zerg player was down by like 20 supply, and also on top of that, the Zerg player had worse tech than the Protoss. So if you get more of a plan, like a straightforward plan, and you also know how to read the Protoss to where you can deviate that plan minorly here or there to deal with what the Protoss does accordingly, well, suddenly your plan just fucking goes off, right? Really, really good. And then now you have way more. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Bye. Later, guys.